Okay, welcome back, guys and gals. In this video, you're going to see Gary and I pre-fishing. This is day 1 of 3 for practice. We got a 2-day tournament on the weekend. We're up here early. We got an Airbnb, and I'm going to kind of go through my process, or our process. So, Houghton Lake, 20,000 acres, 10 miles long, north and south, and 5.5 miles wide at its widest point, east to west. There's both smallmouth and largemouth in here. Due to our preliminary studies, we know that we need at minimum 15 pounds a day to even consider being in the top 10%, which would probably cash a check, top 8, something like that. So it's less than 10%, top 5%. So the top 8 are probably going to get paid. We know we need at least 15 pounds to do that. We can do that on smallmouth or largemouth. They're in here. The average depth in the lake is only 7.5 feet. The maximum depth in the lake is 22 feet. So literally anywhere on this map that you can see, there can be fish. So our job is to start an elimination process, and the first thing we're gonna think about is spending a lot of time on the big motor. We're going to be graphing, side scanning, down scanning, and you'll see that we're doing that quite a bit, moving from spot to spot. We don't want to catch too many fish on one spot. We want to eliminate water. So here's our first spot, and we've discussed already before this that we're going to break the lake down into 3 different parts. Basically east, which is everything to the right of that red line, the middle section, and then the north section, which would be up and to the left. So today we're doing everything to the right of that red line, and in depth, going from spot to spot that we see, and making sure that we're looking at different things and different depths, and looking for grass, and looking for break lines, and looking for flats, and just kind of making sure that we're covering as many different things as possible, looking to get bit, and then make sure that we remember those spots. So here you see we're heading north. We're going to go to the north part of where that red line was, and kind of start there and look at the map, and we're going to talk it out. We're going to come up with a plan. You'll see Gary and I talking multiple different times about what we should do. He's pointing behind us, and then we're talking. I don't know exactly what we're saying at this point in time, but a lot of conversation back and forth about what we should try next, what we've eliminated. At the end of all of this little section here, you'll see that we're marking some stuff, but we discuss, let's go all the way to the east, and Gary's going to point that out right here. Yeah, let's go all the way to the east, he says, which is that point straight in front of us, but there's a big flat out there that turns into a nice turn where it gets very steep, and it looks great on the map. So that is our it isn't our very first place, but that's our next place here. We've already done some side scanning over some shallow stuff, tried to figure out what depth the grass started growing in. As you've seen in other videos, once I find out what depth the grass is growing in, I highlight my map accordingly. So white does not have grass growing in it, and then where the white and the blue meet is basically where my grass starts growing. So that's kind of the fundamental up here in Michigan for us. So we're all the way east here, and you'll see Gary catches a fish here, and there he goes. Oh no, he missed that, or he pulled it out of the weeds. So after he pulled that out of the weeds, the fish got excited and he does catch a fish. So there he hooked up. And the first thing I'm doing is making sure that it's the right species. That's not a pike or a walleye, crappie, rock bass, which we caught all of those while we were practicing. But it is the right species. You'll see that I bend down and I mark on the graph an according waypoint. And what I mean by according waypoint, so this is a smallmouth bass. I have a specific icon that tells me that we caught a smallmouth bass here. If I see something on the graph but we don't catch it, I have a specific icon. If I think it's a bass, I have a specific icon for that, a specific icon for largemouth, etc. Right here, you'll see a grass line, and I'm going to put the map up in a second, but you can see in the back where the water changes color, and you'll see me pulling through the weeds there. We ended up, this is the spot that we thought was going to be excellent. It looks great on the map, and it even looks great right here looking at it. But if you can see on the map, there's a big flat that comes down to this. So this is a nice turn right here where the water's pushing up against this. But what we found out is this is choked out with weeds. It was not fishable. There was no life here. Yeah, right there. So right above the Houghton and Houghton Lake, that's a nice big flat. We should have spent more time scoping that flat out, but we were on that red line, checking that break line, and decided we were going to eliminate that. Didn't see anything worth fishing, and just kind of got some headaches there. So then we move on. This is a spot right after that we checked out, and you'll see on the map, this is Gary hooks up here again, and once again I'm hesitant to mark anything because we don't know what we're catching here right now. We don't know anything will bite these drop shots that we're throwing. So I'm checking it out. What do we see? Yep, it looks like that's the right species. So I go down and I mark it. Again, there's some waypoint management in this, and we'll do a video on that eventually, but I've got a grass symbol, stump symbol, largemouth symbol, smallmouth symbol, bluegill symbol, bluegill bed symbol. So have yourself a system. It doesn't have to be, I know the different graphs have different symbols, and the other thing you'll notice is that I'm checking this fish out, and I'm trying to see, is this a tournament quality fish, which it is not, but is it healthy? Yeah. What are we looking at? It's probably 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds. We need to average 3 pounds to even entertain the idea of making any money. So here we're taking a little break. I think it's important to call out that Gary's in a sun shirt. I am not. I should be. My face got fried. I should have had my sun buff on. But we're kind of taking a little break. I think we had lunch, and we're talking shop, right? We're just sitting here. This is day one. There's no pressure on this. We're just sitting here talking it out. I think it's super important that you talk to your partner, whoever it is, and pick their brain, and not just pick their brain, but try both ideas, right? So you may have a completely different line of thinking than your partner, but one day his plan's going to work, one day your plan's going to work. So talk it out, be cooperative. It's a team sport in this format anyway. So here's another spot, something we found on the map, and Gary again snapping it out of the grass and then getting hooked up. So that's something that I wish I would have known. That might have been a key. If you rewind to the last bite, he caught it the same way. He snapped it out of the grass. So this is more of a reaction thing. If you look at the clouds in the sky, we know that smallmouth like to chase in the sun, and that's what we're catching right here is smallmouth. So there may have been something more to reactionary bites where we're throwing drop shots. So I wish I would have known that he was getting hooked up that way. And this is that spot. If you look, it's a little saddle. There's a hump there, and then the little point comes out, and the water flows through those two little V's that I made. One on the hump and one on that little point that comes out. So that's the spot where we just hooked up there. Again, we marked that, make sure that we know we can come back. We didn't get that fish in the boat, but we didn't really care. We just wanted to see what it was. So, on to the next spot. Again, we looked at the map, and we're looking at just the east side of the map right now, and we're looking around, and Gary hooks up again. That time, he did not. It was not a reactionary bite, but needless to say, had I known that, I may have changed some tactics, which I did not. But he's hooked up again, and you'll see me mark it again, making sure that we got the right mark on the right spot. And so far, we haven't really caught anything like giant. None of this is necessarily tournament quality bites, but we've eliminated a lot of water, and we've caught enough fish to know kind of what to do maybe tomorrow, and we can try it in different parts of the lake and see, because we know that there's fish on this kind of stuff. You see me hand lining this in. I would highly suggest not doing that. Again, we don't care if these fish get in the boat or not. We kind of just want to see what's up. This might be the first one that's kind of a little bit better quality, maybe a 2.5 pounder, and I take a look at it for a while, and yeah, that might be a tournament quality fish. So you see Gary talking with his hands a little bit. This is that spot again. Now we're on ultimately the back side of a little island here, and you can see that little crab claw or whatever. That's a ditch that's running through there. The wind is pushing right in there, and that was why we decided to try that spot. So we have figured out that there is some common denominators on a couple of these spots where we've been fishing. But we'll get more into that on the day 2 of practice and day 3 of practice. For now, we're heading in. That was the end of day 1. Ultimately, yeah, that was the practice day, and we haven't learned too much. We haven't put it all together. We're gonna go back. We're gonna meet Chad and Brandon, and we're gonna talk it out and see compare notes and see what we can do. Not super excited at this point. Not super disappointed. That was only probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of fishing. We caught a few fish. I caught a few other trash fish that I didn't put in there. But ultimately, we were wanting to make sure that we had some spots where we could duplicate, catch fish, and we didn't want to catch more than one fish out of a spot. So all the spots that I showed you on the map, we marked those, and we tried not to revisit them, tried not to beat them up. You think with a 20,000 acre lake that everybody's going to have all kinds of water to fish. What we end up finding out later on is that a lot of guys are looking at the same stuff we were. So that was it for day 1. Hopefully you guys like this. There's more to come, and we do end up catching some really good quality fish here in practice. And of course you'll see the classic at the end of this, but we're just kind of showing you a day-by-day break right now of what Gary and I did and what Chad and Brandon did, and the 2 different approaches. Take them for what they're worth, and hopefully it helps you. As always, we appreciate you guys watching. If there's any questions about what we did, please leave a comment. As you can see on the screen here, like, share it out to a friend. That's huge. Subscribe if you haven't, and turn on the notification bell. And as always, we will catch you next time. Thank you.